Hello everyone. I'm Connal Finlay, the director and owner of the Cellar store in New Zealand, and welcome to today's episode of the Cellar TV. So today we're going to be having another one of our tasting notes or video tasting notes, and the particular white wine that we're going to be drinking today and tasting today is one of my favorite producers of all time. No jokes here, folks, and it's coming from Emmerich Knoll or Weingut Knoll. Emmerich Knoll is its full name there, and easily one of the leading wine producers in the world, and definitely one of the leading wine producers in all of Austria. And so where Emmerich Knoll or Weingut Knoll is actually based, it's up in the north of Austria there, in a particular region, or the main region really as far as Austria is concerned, and called the Wachau, or the Wachau. And this is their Gruner Veltliner. Another slight close up there. We'll make sure we have a nice pretty picture there so you can see all the beautiful details, and they're very, very intense and complex and interesting wine labels. It definitely catches your eye, these wine labels. They're slightly archaic, but they're beautiful really, if you ask me. And so this is the Gruner Veltliner. It's their Smaragd. So Smaragd is basically a wine term that you should know about as far as Austrian wine is concerned, and there are different styles of Gruner Veltliner, or Riesling for that matter, that can be produced. So they can be quite dry and light, or they can be quite sort of rich and fuller-bodied and dry as well, or they can be sweet. I mean, they really are quite different, but this is their Smaragd, and so this is basically saying you can expect a dry, full-bodied or medium to full-bodied white wine, and the particular grape varietal of this one is their Gruner Veltliner, and it's coming from their Loibenberg single vineyard, which is one of their oldest and greatest, in my opinion, single vineyards that this estate owns. So this is the 2014 vintage. Yes, so as I said, this is Gruner Veltliner, basically the most important white wine or wine grape varietal as far as Austria is concerned. And it's sort of their national grape varietal. Anyway, let's give it a slight sniff, eh? So, I mean, you'll definitely notice in all of Emmerich Knoll's wines is that they are very complex. I mean, they are very, very high quality. And when, I have to say actually, something you probably don't necessarily think about when you are going to be drinking a white wine is decanting it. Decanting is obviously something that a lot of people do with red wines, and people often do that, well, for a couple of reasons, and that's to sort of get rid of sediment, tannins and all the rest, which sort of might be at the bottom of the bottle, and then you decant it off, and then the tannins and all the rest are left in the bottle, and you're left only with the beautiful wine that you're going to be drinking. But actually decanting, first and foremost, serves as a purpose to sort of, well, oxidize it, sort of liven it up. And so this is a very small version of oxidizing it and opening up the wine. But decanting, obviously, it gets the whole wine in motion. It really opens it all up in a decanter, and it starts to really allow those flavors and aromatics that are found in the wines, white wines, red wines, sparkling wines, for that matter, and really starts to open up those little aromatics and start to make them party a little bit and gets them excited, and then that way you can start smelling them, and that way you're also getting, well, a whole lot more. You're getting absolutely everything, or the potential aromas that are in this beautiful bottle here. So you're really wanting to make sure you're getting the most of your wine. Anyway, back to the tasting note. And so here it's very complex, as I sort of said, and I have already decanted this into a decanter about, I don't know, would have been about 2 hours ago, I suppose. So this is just fantastic, and it's interesting because every single sip, well, not sip, sorry, this is sniff. Every single sniff that you're getting is something slightly different. And so, I mean, starts off quite floral, well, not too floral, but definitely sort of a honeysuckle and sort of citrus blossom sort of note coming through. And then it really gets into the stone fruit, these beautiful stone fruit flavors. And so there's this beautiful fleshy white nectarine, white peach sort of flavor. And then it opens up a little bit more and becomes a little bit riper, quite ripe, in fact. some sort of tropical fruit flavors, some sort of melon, a little bit of rock melon there, I'd say, a little bit of sort of green mango, and on the citrus front of things, I'm going to say, well, lemon. That tends to be quite a common marker, a common aromatic marker that people will get in white wine profiles. But definitely, for me anyway, that just might sound a little bit sort of offhand, but a little bit of yuzu, and even a touch of sort of satsuma here as well. Satsuma mandarin. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is it's very complex, it's very exciting, very interesting. So let's give it a taste. So it is definitely a Smaragd wine, in the fact that it is very, very fleshy. There's a lot of fruit ripeness there, a lot of pellet weight. So on the pellet, it's sort of akin to many a Chardonnay, not like a big oaky Chardonnay, but your sort of classic New World or even sort of Burgundian Chardonnay. It's got a lot of pellet weight there. It's also got a beautiful acidity, and it's just so well matched and so well balanced in this wine. And it really allows for both the acidity to sort of sing, but also the fruit flavors and aromatics to really sort of come out. And so there is definitely that sort of those fleshy, again, those white peaches, white nectarine sort of fruit flavors, a little bit of sort of tangerine, again, some little bit more sort of yuzu, and a little bit more lemon juice on the palate there. But then slightly, actually, what's quite interesting, what really is gripping me here at the moment is this lovely sort of pear note. It's sort of both between sort of your classic green pear and sort of a yellow pear as well. It's really interesting. It's absolutely delicious. It's very complex. I'm going to have to go in just for another one. So still quite young, and so this is, especially if you're going to be having something like this is the 2014 vintage, as you can see up here, 2014 vintage, so still very young, and this wine is going to be easily aged in your cellar, if you buy a bottle, for at least 10 years, I'd say, good 10 to 15 years, a lot of the acidity there's a lot of good structure there on the palate, really fantastic, quite ripe and rich as well. And so I'd say decanted in its youth, but as it's aged, it'll definitely become a lot more sort of complex and a lot more interesting, believe it or not, like even more so than it already is now. But yeah, all in all, this is an absolutely fantastic wine. As I said, Emmerich Knoll, one of the leading wine producers in the world, or at least in Austria, and absolutely fantastic. And you can now buy it online. It's coming in. We've got, well, a lot of their wines anyway. I think we've got about five or six of their wines, a few Rieslings and a few Gruner Veltliners. And so this has been their Loibenberg, their Ried Loibenberg Gruner Veltliner, their Smaragd from 2014. So please, click and comment away, like, comment, subscribe, share with all your other friends, wine-loving friends as well. I'm sure they'd like to know what you've been learning about. And all the rest, pick up a bottle and, again, share that with your friends and other wine-loving family members and all the rest. And, of course, cheers.